Why Gen Z is losing interest in religion and what it means for the future. There was a time when every Sunday morning, bells would ring across the countryside and the streets would empty into churches. There was a time when every prayer, every tradition was passed down like sacred fire from parent to child, generation after generation. But today, something has changed. The bells still ring, but fewer answer. The prayers are still whispered, but often to empty rooms. And the sacred fires, they flicker, uncertain, searching for new hands to carry them forward. The quiet revolution. We're living through a quiet revolution, one of the most profound cultural shifts in modern history. And yet it's barely making the headlines. Generation Z, the digital natives, the activists, the dreamers, are stepping away from organized religion at rates we have never seen before. According to Pew Research, nearly 40% of Gen Z identify as religiously unaffiliated. In the UK, that number is even higher, nearly half. Places that were once filled with laughter, songs, sacred rituals, now gather dust. But make no mistake, this isn't apathy, this isn't laziness, this is a profound searching. A generation asking, maybe for the first time on such a massive scale, what do I really believe? And why? The overwhelm of information. One of the most powerful forces shaping Gen Z is something we can't see, the endless river of information. Think about it. Previous generations learned about religion from parents, pastors, imams, monks, maybe a few books at the local library. But Gen Z? They can, and do, access thousands of worldviews before breakfast. Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Hinduism, atheism, paganism, spiritual but not religious. They don't just learn about their faith, they learn about every faith. And with that overwhelming choice comes overwhelming doubt. How can I know that the one I grew up with is the ultimate truth when there are so many equally ancient, equally profound beliefs? Trust broken, the cracks in the foundation. But it's not just the abundance of choice that's driving the shift. It's the cracks that appeared in the very foundations. Over the past few decades, religious institutions, once pillars of trust and moral guidance, have been rocked by scandals. Sexual abuse scandals in churches, political alliances that seem to betray the faith's original values, financial corruption, public figures preaching morality while living double lives. For Gen Z, who were raised to value transparency, authenticity, and justice, these betrayals cut deep. When the institutions that claim to carry divine truth act no better, and often worse, than ordinary humans, trust is shattered. And once trust is broken, belief soon follows. Values at war, social justice versus dogma. Gen Z is one of the most progressive generations when it comes to social issues. They stand fiercely for racial justice. They champion LGBT+ rights. They demand action on climate change. They call out injustice wherever they see it. But many traditional religious teachings, particularly in more conservative branches, still condemn homosexuality, promote outdated gender roles, or dismiss scientific consensus. And so Gen Z is faced with an impossible choice: be loyal to their inherited religion or be loyal to their deepest sense of right and wrong. And increasingly, they are choosing justice over dogma. Their moral compass didn't break, it evolved. The rise of spiritual individualism, but leaving behind traditional religion, doesn't mean abandoning spirituality altogether. In fact, a massive number of Gen Zers still believe in something greater, but they're forging their own paths. Some meditate daily without affiliating with any religion. Some believe in the universe as a living force. Some blend ideas from Buddhism, Stoicism, astrology, psychology, and indigenous teachings into a personalized faith. It's not about labels, it's about experience. They don't want a one-size-fits-all doctrine. They want a relationship with the divine that feels real, personal, alive. Technology, blessing, and curse. But there's another layer to this story: technology itself. Yes, it gives access to information. Yes, it opens the mind. but it also fragments attention. Spirituality, deep, authentic connection to something bigger, requires stillness, reflection, discomfort, patience. And these are precisely the things our dopamine-driven, instant gratification digital world discourages. When prayer feels boring, when meditation feels impossible, when reflection feels lonely, the soul starts starving without even knowing it. And Gen Z is often left caught between two worlds, endless stimulation and aching emptiness. The price of freedom. Freedom is beautiful. Freedom is necessary. But freedom without roots can feel like floating. Without community, many Gen Zers experience profound loneliness. Without tradition, life can feel formless, overwhelming, chaotic. And studies show that young people today report higher rates of depression, anxiety, and existential fear than any previous generation. In freeing themselves from the chains of dogma, many have also lost the anchors of belonging, seeds of something new. Yet, amid the disconnection, something astonishing is happening. Young people are building new kinds of communities, online and offline, mindfulness groups, retreats, book clubs studying ancient wisdom without rigid theology, mental health collectives centered on compassion and healing. They are rediscovering practices like gratitude, meditation, service, and self-inquiry, practices that religion originally intended to nurture. In rejecting the old forms, they may just be reclaiming the true spirit that religion was meant to carry all along. A message for every generation. If you are older and you feel sadness, anger, or fear, watching your children or grandchildren walk away, please understand, this isn't rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's an ancient human instinct to search, to question, to make meaning. Just as your ancestors searched the stars for signs, just as prophets went into the wilderness seeking answers, so too, Gen Z is wandering in their own modern wilderness. And wandering is not the end of faith. It's often where faith begins. An invitation to Gen Z, know that your questions are holy. Your doubt is not a weakness. It's a sacred part of your journey. To the elders, know that you did not fail. You raised thinkers, dreamers, seekers, and that is a victory. And to all of us, maybe it's time to build something new together. A spirituality not of fear, but of love. Not of rigid walls, but of open doors. Not of judgment, but of deep, fierce compassion. Because ultimately, beneath all our differences, we are still searching for the same sacred flame. Thank you for walking this path with me today. If this resonated with your soul, share it, comment your story, and subscribe. Let's keep building bridges between the past, the present, and the future.